today we're gonna have a little talk about reverse psychology. Yay! So this kind of spawned from a conversation I had on Twitter actually with Sparks from Accidental Games, and we were talking about films and studying film and media and how that might affect your outlook on how you perceive films. So maybe you're a little bit more critical of them and therefore you don't enjoy them as much, or maybe you learn to appreciate them a bit more because you understand what kind of hard work goes into making them. And I was going to originally vlog about that, but actually it kind of spurred on a sort of different topic that I ended up wanting to speak about, which kind of is where the sort of reverse psychology kind of idea comes into play. So while I was kind of having this talk and I was writing up this big long post to reply to his with, and I was thinking long and hard about this, and it's actually one of my kind of pet peeves, I guess. I don't know if pet peeve is the right word for it. It's one of those things that really annoys me and really puts me off people and sorry, my window's open because it's a really hot day, so apologies for the traffic. It's one of those kind of things that really puts me off situations, puts me off people, and puts me off trying things. And it's when people kind of tell me that I have to like something, or tell me that I have to watch something, tell me that I have to do something. So, for example, in the film aspect, it's, oh my god, you haven't seen this film? How come you've not seen this film? You've got to see it, you'll love it. And when people tell me that, I'm immediately almost turned off by it and turned the opposite way. When people kind of try and throw things in my face, it really makes me feel the opposite and have the opposite effect. And it's something which a lot of people do, and yet I don't really know anybody who actually likes it when it's done to them, so I don't quite understand why people do it. And I've seen it happen in this community a bit, so I thought I'd kind of bring it up on kind of a number of levels. So film was like the first thing that came to mind because of this topic. So for example, I'm a really bad film student. I'm the worst film student out there. Like, there are so many films I haven't seen, and I'm working on it, and I'm making my way through all of these films I haven't seen yet, but there are still lots that I haven't seen. So for example, Fight Club was one that came up recently. I haven't seen Fight Club. Don't kill me. I know I have to see Fight Club. I know I have to, but I haven't yet. And people will be like, how have you not seen Fight Club? Oh my god, you have to have seen Fight Club, it's amazing, you'll love it. And I'm like, well, I'm getting round to it, like, I know, they're like, no, but you have to see it. I'm like, I know I have to see it, like, I've heard of it, I know it's an important film, I know it's a good film, or at least, there's some sort of important thing in it. I don't really know, I haven't really looked into it, because I want to go into it completely unspoiled. It's things like that. And for example, there's been films which I have gone to see, and before I've seen them, people have told me, so the first one that comes to mind is Interstellar. Now, Interstellar is a film which I think if I went into it, I love Christopher Nolan films, I love them a lot, and I was so excited for Interstellar, and I think if I went into Interstellar with no kind of preconceptions, I would have liked it more than I ended up liking it. And I don't dislike it, I still think it's a good film, but I think it had a lot of flaws, and I think it was too long a film, and I didn't really like how they tried to make it really super scientific and accurate at some points, and then they kind of threw in the weird alternate dimension-y sort of, it just felt like they were trying to combine two different films together. And regardless of what you think about the film, I'm not here to have a debate and talk about the film, regardless of what you think, before I went to see the film, I was told by a couple of people who'd also seen the film before me, I've heard them say, I won't spoil anything for you, but you will love it. And that within itself spoilt it for me, without actually being a spoiler. It was like someone just telling me, oh, you'll love it, and I'm like, I don't know if it's something in my mind, it's just kind of me being a little bit of a fusspot or something, but something in my mind was like, well, how do you know what I like and don't like, how do you know if I'll love it or not? And in my mind, I found myself trying to pick apart the film, even if there were bits that were really nitty-bitty things that I was picking out. I found myself wanting to pick apart the film and find all the bits that I didn't like instead of focusing on the good bits. And this is, something that is a problem with me, and I know I need to kind of improve on that, but at the same time, it's the kind of case of when people say to you, you're going to love this film, it's like, well, how do you know I'm going to love this film? Maybe we're really close and you know what kind of films I will like, but, how do you know I'm going to love this film? And, like, I do this too, where I tell people, oh, you're going to love this film, and I try to catch myself out from doing it, because I think, film is art, and with art, I don't feel like there is, with maybe some exceptions, there isn't really a right and wrong. You have, some people might think that a blue square on a white canvas is art and might pay hundreds and thousands for it. Some people might think it's just a blue square on a white canvas. I could do that. And regardless of what you think, art is about perspective, and art is about opinion. And, what one person might hate, one person might love. The Room. The Room is a bad film in so many ways, but I'm sure that there are people out there who are still going to pick up merits from it and be like, actually, it was quite good at this. Actually, I did enjoy that. So even with the really bad ones, people can still like them and still have opinions on them. I give the example of Star Wars. The Star Wars, not original trilogy, the prequels. I know, and I'm very aware that they are bad films in so many ways, but I can still enjoy watching them, and that's because I kind of have that childhood nostalgic value. I can still have an opinion which is positive to a film, even though the film itself may not be that good in terms of film. One of my favourite films is Sliding Doors, and Sliding Doors is one of those films which I can, again, appreciate the good and the bad about it. It's very 90s in a lot of ways. I think it's a great film, but just because I think it's a great film, I don't really think that everyone else should love it. And if people don't, that's kind of fair enough, and I feel like people get attacked a lot for having opinions on certain things. So kind of relating more specifically to this community, and this is a topic which I've touched upon both in, like, I think a Godiva podcast and just kind of in my own sort of chatter, is live streaming websites, which is quite a sensitive topic for quite a few people I know. Mainly, the argument is Twitch versus Beam. And this is something which really irritates me, because at the end of the day, they're two live streaming websites, and we love live streaming. We're gamers. We love watching and doing live streams. So any kind of website which is for live streaming and which does it well is a good thing. I think Twitch does a lot of things well that Beam doesn't. I think Beam does a lot of things well that Twitch doesn't. And I think both of them do other things equally really well. And I don't see the problem with that. Why can't we just have these two websites? One of them doesn't have to be superior to the other in any way. And so I can appreciate Beam. I think Beam is great. I'm streaming on Twitch. I have been on Twitch for years now. My live streams have always been on Twitch. That's where my community is. It's where I feel happy and comfortable with, just because I've been on it for so long. It feels like a home, and I'm not going to be changing from that unless there was a really dramatic reason to. And I'm very happy on Twitch, and I know lots of other people who are happy on Twitch. Equally, I don't think Beam is a bad website. I'm not using Beam because I don't like it or think it's bad. I'm just using Twitch because I prefer it, because it feels more like a home to me. I think Beam is a stellar website. I watch streams on there all the time. You know, I think there are some really great things that they do. But what I hate a lot is self-entitled Beam users. And there are self-entitled Twitch users too, but I've only really experienced the bad with the self-entitled Beam users, and these are the people, and this isn't everyone, obviously, this is a very small number of people who are unfortunately quite loud, but this is people who, if I were to complain about one thing about Twitch, one thing, so say Twitch's servers were down or something, and I couldn't live stream for an hour, and I would kind of be like, oh damn, Twitch's, blah, 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 the servers are down, I can't live stream. People would immediately be like, swap to Beam, go to Beam, why don't you go to Beam, why don't you do Beam? And I'm like, whoa, just because something is down, like, give it a freaking chance. If those people, if the Beam website was down for an hour, they wouldn't be like, swap to Twitch, everyone. Like, just because one website has issues doesn't mean that you should automatically leave it and jump ship. Like, that's bad. Like, that's just saying any kind of mistakes are bad and we should all, and it really irritates me, and it has the reverse effect of when people try to tell me, you should be on Beam, you should do Beam because of this and that. I want to counteract that automatically because I don't like people telling me what to do and what to feel. I like it when people are like, maybe you should think about trying out this service, or like, oh, this new service was released lately, what about this? And I'll give it a look and I'll be like, cool, that's interesting. But if I don't want to move to it and it's not for me, that's my choice, and I don't like it when people keep again and again and again and again saying, oh, but what about this? This doesn't do that. Oh, Beam does this, and Twitch doesn't do that, or like, oh, look, Beam's so much better at this than Twitch's. And it's like, okay, can you just be quiet, please, and let me have my own opinions. I have nothing against Beam. I love Beam, but people who are trying to make me convert to Beam make me dislike it in a weird way, just because I'm so tired of people telling me that. And again, this is only a really minor number. I have so many friends who use Beam who are amazing on Beam, and I will go and watch their streams when I can, as long as time zones don't conflict, and I will go and gladly support them. I have friends who are staff members on Beam and everything as well, and they work so hard and it's great. But I also think people get a bit narrow-minded about some things. People tend to think that Beam is better automatically just because it's able to do things quicker, because it is a smaller, there's a car playing loud music outside, just because it is a smaller you know, website, there's fewer people using it, and therefore it's easier for them to kind of, you know, get involved in like customer support and things like that. And again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying, oh, Beam's gonna crumble once they get even bigger, but it's just a matter of perspective, and you can't just compare. You can't say it takes so much longer for Twitch to respond to you. Well, that's because they're a far bigger service, and you have to take that into account. And this isn't really supposed to be like a big Twitch versus Beam debate. This is just me trying to say, stop it if you're trying to convert people to things. It's the same with religion for me. I personally am not religious. I'm not anti-religious. I don't believe that there is nothing out there, but I've had no, and like if there was some sort of proof that at least I would feel like would mean there is some sort of God or other being out there, then I would be up for believing it. I'm not against it, but personally for me, I have had no real proof, so I'm not religious and I don't really believe anything like that. But equally, obviously, you know, if you just look at the people I'm friends with, I'm not against anyone who's religious by any means, no matter what kind of religion you are, no matter what you believe in, even if it's a mismatch of like several different religions altogether to make your own personal religion. I don't mind. I see no problem with that. It's like, you know, it's just a part of you. It's like me, you know, I don't know, believing that, you know, a certain TV show is the best, or me believing in like a superstition or something. Like, it's, you know, there's no reason for it to like kind of feel like I should be against people who are religious. I'm totally fine with that. But on the other hand, there are people who like try to this sounds kind of violent, blunt way of putting it, but like shove their religious beliefs down my throat, and that is something I don't like either. It's a case of you have your opinions and I'll have mine, and try and not change my opinions because of that. I'm not going up to any of my religious friends and being like, you know, God doesn't exist, or, oh, but what about this loophole and that, or what about it in the Bible where it's, you know, like, I don't care. In the sense, you know, not that I don't care about my friends, I mean, like, I don't care in the sense of, you have your opinions, you have your religion, that's cool. I have mine, which is nothing, and that's cool as well. We can all still be friends, right? And apparently not to some people who just like to constantly throw it in people's faces and try to belittle them and make them feel like they're inferior because they don't believe in this religion. And that's just not right. I just really don't think that's right. And again, that's reverse psychology, where people try to make something look good, but it has the reverse effect and instead turns me away from it because I don't want people telling me what to do. So I guess it was kind of just something I wanted to address, really. I feel like there was another thing I wanted to talk about and it's completely gone from my mind that was kind of along the same lines of the Beam and Twitch thingamajig. There's been a few things with games as well where people have talked about how much they like games, and I just haven't liked games and haven't really got involved in it, and people are like, how can you not like this game, what's wrong with you? And it's like, oh god, guys. Like, I think it's just something I wanted to address a little bit because it's something that really irritates me and rubs me the wrong way, and I feel like a lot of people don't know that. And I do this as well, where I kind of say to someone, oh, this is amazing, you'll love it. And again, I do try and catch myself, but like, I don't know, I think it's just something which I get on pretty much a day-to-day basis. And, you know, for the most part, I just try to let it, you know, pass me by. There's no point in focusing on it. But I think it is kind of an important thing to address. And I'm sure everyone's kind of experienced this in some form or another, where they're kind of told to like or do or think something. And, you know, they don't want to. Why should I? Why should you tell me what to do? How do you know that I'm going to think this or like this? So yeah, that was kind of just something I wanted to touch upon a bit there. This is more of a kind of ranty sort of vlog, I guess, and I'm very sorry for that. Oh, actually, no, I know what I want to talk about. And this is kind of on a similar tangent to what I've been talking about, but it's less to do with, I guess it's kind of to do with the reverse psychology kind of thing again. And this is Discord I want to address. So I really like the Discord application. I use it, I have a server on it, you know, I have, you know, lots of people who I talk to on it. I think it is a great application. I by far prefer it to something like TeamSpeak or something like Mumble and things like that. But I really dislike, and I have addressed this before as well, I really dislike their advertising, their advertising slogan kind of deal, where they say it's time to, you know, ditch Skype and TeamSpeak, you know, Discord is the app for this. And it's like, well, no, because you don't have video chat, whereas Skype does. If you want to one-on-one talk with someone, you have to set up a server for said person, you know, unless you want everybody, even if you had a private room, everybody who's also in that server could see that you guys are, you know, Skyping or whatever. So you have to have a server set up to talk to people. You can't just ring someone up easily. You have to have some sort of room to sort of sit into. And, you know, there's still lots, you know, it's still in development, and that's fair enough, but I don't think they can claim it's time to ditch Skype when they don't even have half the functionalities that Skype has. And yes, Skype has a lot of problems. I know there are a lot of very self-entitled Discord users who say Skype is terrible, and like, thank God Skype's gone and over with, and I'm happy and I can use Discord, and Skype sucks, and it sucks so much, and it's Satan, and it's evil. Like, calm down. Skype is just a program. At the end of the day, it's a program. Calm down. But, you know, I still use Skype for a lot of different things, and I still really like Skype despite all its bugs, because it has a lot of features which Discord still doesn't have. And I really dislike the advertising methods that Discord uses, which is such a shame, because they seem like a really cool group of people for the most part. I love their social media interaction and things like that. I love the app, and I love all the updates they do, and they do them frequently, and they, you know, they do the updates for the things that people really want, and they make it fun, and they make it interesting, and they make it so well catered for gamers and integrated, where it shows what game you're playing and when you're live streaming and things like that, and there's so many good things about it, and I just wish that they would change the way they advertise it, because I think it's just really sad and really wrong, even if, regardless of if it works and if it's successful, to have to say that it's time to ditch other programs because this program's here. I just think it's not a very nice way to advertise things, really. It's like if you have two cupcake shops in town, and, you know, maybe one cupcake shop isn't doing so well, maybe their cupcakes are losing a little bit of flavour, or maybe, you know, the person who owns the cupcake shop is suffering, you know, from something, or, like, busy with something, so they have to, like, close the shop on random days or something, so they're not quite as reliable. And then this other cupcake shop goes around, and instead of the cupcake shop saying, you know, we're open, you know, 24/7, not 24/7, that'd be crazy, but, you know, we're open, you know, 7 days a week, or, you know, we've got this recipe with this new delicious flavour. That's cool, because it's a way of saying, we're doing these things that this other cupcake company isn't doing, but without saying in a big sign, ditch the cupcake company down the road, you know, look, we've arrived and we're the best one. Like, that just seems really, really harsh. Instead of saying, you know, it's time to ditch these programs because we're here, why don't you say, this program does this, and it also does that. And if the things that you're saying it does are things which something like Skype doesn't do, that speaks for itself. People will look at that and they will think, oh cool, it does, you know, it does this, it doesn't use up as many resources or as much internet, whereas Skype does do that. It doesn't drop calls, whereas, you know, like that, it has all these inclusive rooms, which Skype doesn't, you know. Something like that, without actually saying directly, you know, ditch these programs and join ours, it's just a lot nicer, a lot more friendly, and a lot less off-putting. I know quite a few people who've been put off by their advertising methods, and it just makes me so sad, because otherwise it seems like such a great company. It's just this one method of advertising which I really don't like. And I know a lot, I've had this discussion on Twitter before, and people have been like, you know, they've been like, well, clearly it works because they're getting really popular. And it's like, that's not the point. I'm not criticizing it in the sense of efficiency. I'm not saying it's a bad method because it doesn't work. I get that it works. Clearly it works because everybody I know on the moon is freaking using Discord now. But the point is that it just doesn't seem like a very nice way to advertise. And again, people will be like, well, advertising is, you know, it's not a very nice business, or in advertising you have to be harsh like that. And no, you don't. You don't have to be harsh and mean and calling out companies like that. There are so many different softwares and companies that just say what they do and why they do it well, instead of actually calling out specific company names on it. It just strikes me as unprofessional. It strikes me as a little bit childish. And, you know, again, it's a shame, because I do really like the software. And it's not going to stop me from using it, but it's just something which just really iggles me, and I really hope they do change it in the future. I really do. I hope that they, once they found their feet a bit stronger, they're kind of like, we don't actually need to diss other softwares in order to promote our own, so let's stop that, and maybe they will stop it, and I really hope they do. Because again, when they're saying this thing is really good, it kind of makes you think, well, is it though? Is it? It doesn't have these kind of things which Skype does have, and it makes me want to criticize it just because people are kind of shoving it in your face like, this is amazing. So yeah, this kind of turned into a really, really ranty vlog, and there's probably quite a few controversial topics in there that's probably going to have quite a bit of discussion. And you guys can discuss in the comments if you want, as long as it's, like, friendly, and again, not trying to shove opinions down people's throats. I mean, this is kind of my opinion on it, but again, I understand that people have you know, very different opinions from me in a lot of these, and I know people who work for things like Beam, and I know people who work for, you know, or partners with Discord, and like, that doesn't make me dislike them anymore, that doesn't make them any, you know, less in my eyes, but at the same time, they're not the problem with me, they're not the people I have a problem with. The people I have a problem with, the people who are very narrow-minded and try to make me see only one way, and yeah, just not really working with me. Not really something I like. Sorry about this kind of ranty vlog. I will strive to improve for the next one and do a better vlog. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed that, or at least I hope it had some kind of thinking points or discussions. I want to know if you guys have experienced anything similar to this. But let's not go bashing anyone, let's not go hating on, you know, any specific companies. Remember that, you know, it isn't just a company that's doing something wrong or right, there's the people that are behind it, and with that, there's only normally a couple of people behind it within the whole group of people who might be doing things like this. So let's keep this friendly and civil downstairs in the comments. And yeah, I hope you're all having a lovely day. I'm having a very nice sunny day, and yeah, I'm inside vlogging, so I'm gonna go outside and enjoy the fresh air and sunshine. I'll see you guys in the next vlog. Goodbye!